So a stereoscope is used to observe and measure slope in aerial photos. Yeah, not aerial. Yeah, sorry, my head is in aerial photos. What is slope? We learned about this last year. I like how you guys both went. What is slope when you went? Rise over run, right? So it is how steep a particular hill or angle is. So the stereoscope, and I'll show you a picture of it, is one of our forestry tools. This is a stereoscope right here. Okay, I don't know. Sorry, all my friends. Yeah, they're not live, but I'm recording it so that they can like watch this stuff later. So this is a stereoscope. It looks like the really cool binoculars that Nicolas Cage finds in National Treasure and then looks at the Declaration of Independence and he sees like the map and the key, right? You know what I'm talking about? Changes. Ben Franklin. Please tell me you guys have all seen National Treasure.
Oh, yes.
Okay, if you hadn't, I was going to be really disappointed. So it's just like that, but you put it on there and then you can kind of look through those binoculars and on an aerial photo, meaning an aerial photo taking a photo of the ground from above, right? You can put it over an aerial photo and it will tell you like the slope. So if you guys ever seen like a topographical map where it's got like the rings and stuff to show you how steep it is, how steep hills and mountains and stuff like that are, it's kind of similar in the sense that you can survey and measure the slope of something in a photo. Is that kind of cool? So just a neat thing. When we go to county forestry, there is a tool ID section, and so you will be expected to be able to identify some different tools and stuff like that there. Is everybody good with this? Okay. Also, Hazel Jollif's mom works for the U.S. Forest Service, so she is going to be sending in some forestry tools that we'll be able to hold and look at and talk about some different things. We'll talk about forest fires and forest firefighting, which is actually really cool. If any of you have ever seen the movie Only the Brave, have you guys ever heard of or seen that movie? I might assign it maybe as like a, if we get far enough, maybe next week I'll assign it as like a, when I'm gone the 2 days, you guys can watch Only the Brave. Really good movie about a troop of firefighters, but they fight wildfires out west. So it's like a super intense kind of firefighter thing. So we're going to keep talking about some leaves today and some wood and stuff like that. Which ones did we talk about yesterday? What did we talk about before that? Good. The American chestnut, the elm, and the beech. Okay. So the beech, what was distinct about the beech? It's really tall. What? And it's got kind of the chevron pattern. So they're really straight lines and the really waxy top finish to it. What was distinct about the chestnut? The swoopies on the side, right? Kind of looks like, if you think like a Chesapeake Indian, like a chestnut Chesapeake Indian, and it's got like, it looks kind of like a thing that would be on like an arrowhead on the side. I don't know. American chestnut makes me think of like Native Americans for some reason. Elm, what's significant about an elm? Two things. It's non-symmetrical. So when we fold this over on top of itself, it does not line up. You can turn off both of them if you want to. I'll turn on my lamp. It doesn't line up. What's the other thing that we talked about? Huh? It does have pretty straight lines. It feels like sandpaper. So if you take it in between your fingers and try to rub the leaf, your fingers aren't going to move because it's a really, really coarse sandpaper. Bear Grylls Survival 101, do not choose elm as your toilet paper of choice if you're stranded in the wilderness. Okay? Not going to feel very good on your hiney. Sandpaper. I can't even say a butt joke and get a laugh today. What is happening? Okay. So, yesterday we landed on cherry. We finished on cherry. A cherry tree, you guys may have started writing down, is native to eastern North America. So that means that it likes our side of the Mississippi, right? It's going to grow on this side and up into like your New England states and stuff like that. You guys know what New England is, right? Okay. Like Massachusetts, yes.
trees there?
There's trees there. What does that matter?
That's something to do with like the cherry. I don't know how they keep them.
What'd you say?
I don't know. Like
Birds eat the cherries.
you know, like animals eat the cherries and then the seeds get moved and that's how I don't know.
So Lane actually is one of the first people ever in class to hit that right on the head. Birds like to eat cherries, right? They like to eat berries. If you've ever had a blackberry bush and you ever tried to pick them, you have to pick them very quickly or else the birds get to them first. Alexis has a greenhouse when I visited this summer, and she has blackberries and blueberries in her greenhouse, and they keep them in the greenhouse mainly for the fact that then the birds don't get to them, okay? So they like to eat berries off trees and bushes and all those types of things. So birds are gonna eat the cherries. Where do birds like to sit?
That's
On tree branches and on fences. They like to perch there, take a little rest for their little wings, right? A little breather in, okay? When they're sitting there, what do you do? How do you poop? You usually sit down and poop. We're getting a sitting position, right? If not, I don't want to talk about it. But usually, the birds like to poop while they're sitting on those fence rows. The poop then goes down to the bottom of the fence rows, right? There's seeds in the poop because those are not digestible. So the rest of the cherry, the meat of the cherry is digested by the bird, but the seeds cannot be digested. So when they poop, you are literally giving a little fertilized droplets to that little cherry tree, and then it sinks into the ground, it's already fertilized, and it grows, and then you get cherry trees that are growing through fence rows. Or also why you get a lot of like blackberry and blueberry bushes that kind of grow through fence rows. Is that funny? Cherry trees succeed because of bird poop. Thanks, birds. Okay. They're deciduous, which means what?
Something like that. They fall off.
Leaves fall off in the winter. They grow 7.5 meters tall, which is only about 23 feet. So they're not very tall, which means that they're used a lot as decoration. There's a cherry tree out front of the middle school office, right? Because they only get about 20 feet tall, people like to put them in front of their houses and stuff like that because they're pretty and short. They bloom mid-spring. They have a moderate lifespan. Here's what's really cool about the cherries, all right? This is the wood from a cherry tree. I'm going to hold it up here in the light. It's a really pretty kind of reddish color because of the pigment from the cherries, okay? Like that pigmentation is in the tree too. So it's naturally this color. You didn't have to stain it. This has been a stained sample. This is how it comes when you chop it down. So because it's got this pretty red color, it's a really valuable type of wood. So cherry wood is very expensive because it's naturally pretty. People like to make furniture out of it. Did we talk in this class yesterday or the other class about hardwoods versus softwoods? We talked about it a little bit. So what's the difference? What? The speed it grows. So you have some hardwoods and you have some softwoods, and when we pass around these wood samples, you maybe have felt a density difference. Some of them are harder than the others, some of them are heavier than others. So your hardwoods make really expensive wood or really expensive lumber because people like to make furniture out of them. People like to build houses out of them because they're denser, so they last longer. The likelihood that they're going to rot or be damaged. If I'm going to build a table out of a soft wood, how many of you guys, when we did our hammer stuff last year and we hammered, when you hit it, did you see a dent from your hammer in the wood? That's because we were using pine, and pine is one of the softest woods that you can get. We get that for the shop because a lot of times we're beginning woodworking, and so it's more malleable. The particles aren't as dense, they're not as hard together, so they're easier to push apart when you drive a nail into it, right? So it's easier to work with. You get these harder woods, it's actually harder to get the nail down in because the wood particles are so close together. Does that make sense? But the other side is if I'm working with a cherry or a walnut or another hard wood, is if I miss my nail and hit it with my hammer, I'm not going to put as big of a dent in it either. So likely when you have a piece of furniture in your house, you have a table and somebody accidentally put something down really hard on it, or you slam something into the leg on accident, or you're moving and you bump it against the wall or whatever, your softwood products are going to get dents and scratches in them a lot easier than your hardwood products. That's why you want to use hardwoods for like cutting boards and stuff like that too. Yeah.
One time we got a bunch of free cherry wood
Yeah.
from this one person, and we burned it because we have a wood burner.
Yeah.
And it's made our house smell like really good.
Yeah, it smells super good. If you ever get cherry wood chips, it smells This kind of has into it, but also it's been sitting in that like sealed box for a long time. But it does have a really good smell when you burn it. It's still got like the cherry. You guys have questions about the cherry? Kind of cool. This is the cherry berries. Those are little cherries. They're not very big. They're not like the big maraschino cherries that you buy in the store. Those are different. Those come off something different than what we have around here. Oh my gosh. This is my favorite tree. I know I say that about a lot, but I really actually super mean it. Let me show you a picture. Okay, this is a sycamore tree. I love them because they get really large, they get really wide, they're really good climbing trees, they're really pretty. Look at all those branches. You see how cool of a tree that is? Can you see it? Hold on, this is a good one. I love this one. I love it so much, guys. I can't even contain it. I love sycamores. Okay, so this is a sycamore leaf. What does a sycamore leaf look like? What other type of leaf? Huh? It looks a lot like a maple. So a lot of people think that a sycamore is a maple because it's got like the three kind of things going on, right? But a sycamore leaf is huge. All right, a sycamore leaf, one, it doesn't have that big of indents in where it comes in. And two, these leaves are like the size of your face. They're massive, okay? They're so good because these are the ones that when they fall on the ground, they're super fun to step on because they make big crunches. Okay? Not pine cones. They're big crunchy leaves when they fall and you walk through and it goes, okay? And then also, look how cool this tree is. Just like in general, I want to have that in my backyard. And I want to climb it. It's so cool. The other thing that's really cool about a sycamore is that it has this really neat camouflage bark. So its bark like flakes off, and then so the tree itself, when you look at it, you don't even have to see the really cool big crunchy leaves. The tree itself like has a white base to it, and then the gray bark kind of peels off, so it looks camouflaged when you see it in person.
Are we going in order? This next week does not look like
Oh, maybe you have to sing. They all should be in order, but also sometimes they're not. Yeah, no. All right, flip to. I don't know why this is.
Is it on page 90? Like the first one?
Yeah, top of page 9. And then we'll go back. Sorry about that. So this sycamore has this really cool camouflage bark that exfoliates itself, and the under smooth part is really smooth and nice. It prefers stream banks and bottomlands, so it's going to be a lot, like when you go canoeing, you're going to see a lot of sycamores on the side of the river. They really like to be on the side of the river. This is the one that when I was canoeing with my ag teacher a whole bunch of years ago, he said, hey, bet you can't name that tree. And I said, Mr. Spindle, that's a sycamore. Okay, easy. They grow 45 meters tall with really large branches, just like that picture I just showed you. The trunks are really neat. 45 meters tall is like 135 feet, right? Roughly, maybe, something like that. It's so tall. It blooms early summer. They live for so long because they get really big and they're hard to blow over, okay? And this is the other really cool thing about it. It is my favorite tree of all time. Bless you. But it is also the favorite tree of Ronald Reagan. You guys know that that was a president. Fabulous. Okay, Ronald Reagan was a president, and I got to go to Cincinnati to a botanical garden with one of my ag classes when I was in college, and they have a presidential tree garden, and the presidents got to pick what tree they wanted planted for them in that garden. George Washington's is a cherry tree, because I don't think it's been there long enough that they could ask, so they just said, we'll associate that. But Ronald Reagan wanted a sycamore tree planted in his honor. So me and Ronald Reagan have the same favorite tree. Oh, yeah. Hello. Hey. Yeah. sure. Does it have anywhere on that map? Like, clarify. Oh, in London, they have a bus parking. They will map because they've got a big. So Mary's. Sorry, I was thinking on Thursday. Marysville FA helps run that, and they. Yes, it is an appeal. Probably a lot. I would assume they'll have that planned out, just with how big of an event it is. Okay. Okay. Perfect. So fun. I can email their teacher and see if they didn't know if they have a plan. Okay. Okay. Yeah, well, and I've seen that happen before down there, honestly. Not a food truck, but I saw some being flushed out before. So there's also okay, probably. So I can see too if we can like drop off, and then I know there's like some McDonald's and stuff like that close, so there might be something where we can drop them off and then go somewhere else. Okay, yeah, I'll check on it. Okay, so it's Ronald Reagan's favorite tree too, which means that it's super cool because Ronald Reagan was super cool. You guys have questions? Guys, this next one's so fun too. You don't even know. And we have time. Okay, cool. Questions about the sycamore? Okay, we have one more that we're going to learn about today, and that is the aspen tree. And I think the aspen is really cool too for a couple of reasons. So if you look at the aspen leaf, all right, it also has little swoopies here, right? Do you see those? Do you see the little swoopies on the side? Yeah, Miss Wallet, we see the swoopies.
I see the Scooby.
We see, thanks, man. All right, so those little swoopies look like little ski jumps. Okay, so imagine a little ski man with his little skis on going over those little ski jumps. Where's Aspen, the city?
San Diego.
No, there's a city named Aspen, and it's in Colorado, and it's one of the biggest ski locations in the entire world. So, yeah, that's it's warm there, and it's cold in Aspen.
They can hit sand jump.
Well, yeah, sure. So imagine a little ski guy coming off those little ski jumps, and that's a way to remember Aspen because it's a big ski resort. So in Aspen, this is what's cool about the aspen trees. They're kind of fireproof. Ever heard of a fireproof tree?
Yeah.
Yeah, now, right? Yeah. So they're kind of fireproof, and they're fireproof in the way that they don't burn super fast. So they have to be in heat and in fire like a wildfire for a really long time before they actually burn and fall. And the reason being is that you know how maple trees have sap that is good, like you can pull out of the tree and make syrup and stuff. So aspen has little like suckers, kind of these little like pockets of just like fluid that go up and down the tree, and so it makes the core of the tree really moist, and so it's harder to dry out that wood in the middle of fire. It has to totally die and dry out before it actually burns and falls. So it will burn and fall. Don't say, oh, I'm going to build my house out of aspen wood and then it'll be a fireproof house, right? Because they have to be alive, fireproof. But it's really cool that they pull up from there. They have a super extensive root system that goes like okay, all out in the ground, and so they pull up all this moisture from the ground and send it up through the tree, and then it doesn't burn as fast. They prefer moist, sandy uplands, so you're going to see them more out west. We do have some here. They're deciduous. They grow 25 meters tall, so about 75 feet. They bloom early spring, but they don't live very long because they have such a moist trunk. So they're more apt to some rot and stuff like that. Okay. You guys with me? Okay. We are going to watch a video now. This video is put together by a Zoe. Come here. Will you hold this piece of paper in front of the projector for me? Yes, thank you. This video is put together by a forest scientist. He's kind of dry, but he does a really, really good job of explaining aspen trees and kind of how they work. So we're gonna watch it. We're gonna watch a couple of his videos throughout forestry just because he has like a series that he does about different trees and just different things in general. What? So if you guys would bear with me, like I said, I know he's kind of dry, but we're gonna watch this video about aspen trees. It probably gives you some of those pertinent aspen information that you can get. Give me just a second. Okay, you guys ready? I need to give your undivided attention to our little scientist guy here.
For me, nature is one of the neatest things on this planet. That's why Rodney and I started Nature Walk, because we want everyone to know how neat nature is, instead of just me and Rodney knowing it. How neat is that? That's pretty neat. Without a doubt, coming out into nature is one of the neatest things there is to do. But you also have to be careful. That's why I always try to pack a gun. It's just a little bit, pack some heat. Now this isn't much of a big boy. I don't want to kill the animal, but I do want to warn it and say, hey, I think you're pretty neat, but I respect your distance. There's bears out here, there's mountain cougars, and a biting goat. How neat is that? That's pretty neat. Oh, wow, score. Look at this. This is an aspen. You can tell that it's an aspen tree because of the way it is. Wow.
Did you get that? All right, it's really important information about an aspen tree.
Oh, wow, score. Look at this. This is an aspen. You can tell that it's an aspen tree because of the way it is. Wow.
And you got it? Be able to identify an aspen forever now? How do you tell an aspen?
Wow. What a beaut. You know, it'd be a great capper to a great day. It'd be seeing a wild animal. I always get real excited at the opportunity to maybe see an antelope or a fox, you know, or some sort of mountain beast. So what I do sometimes is I'll try to, you know, shake things up a little bit, get the earth moving, and call out to them, you know. Here we go. Up, up.
Don't you dare ruin this video for the other class.
Tip, tip, tip. Come on. Yeah, come on, girl. Nothing. Gee, dang it. I see you coming out right now, but I'm not giving up yet. Not too often you get all this neatness in one location. That's called nature.